This is one of the reasons I'm talking about it. I was looking at the history that's talked about in this little brochure tonight. And it talks about out-of-state activists. It goes farther than that. If you read the Varnum decision carefully, much of it is based on what this state has set in policy for the last 2 decades. It's not just about marriage. When the state policy for Iowa is that gay couples can adopt, and the state of Iowa will place children for foster care in the families of 2 gay couples, this really surprise you? Where was the outrage then? We better be looking at each other across the tables to say, why weren't we outraged when that happened? The Varnum decision is based in part on the Iowa civil rights legislation. It wasn't passed last year. It was passed in the previous General Assembly before the last election cycle. Where was the outrage then? We better be looking across each other at the tables and saying, what did we do or not do? We didn't get to this point overnight, folks. And you're not going to solve it overnight either. It's going to take a lot of hard work. I tell folks all the time that the challenge, the obstacle that we face is we're living in a will and grace world. That's what we're up against. It's the fact that it has become normalized through your entertainment industry and through actions of your state government. The Supreme Court ruling is just the latest step. And if you want to do something about it, you need to elect a governor that's not just about having an executive order, but is willing to hold the line through the budget process, willing to call let's be honest about it too. It's a Democratic legislature that did it. I know IFPC is a nonpartisan group, but it's a Democratic legislature that did it. And you're going to have to change a whole lot of things about what the state government, what your state government does, if you want to change the hearts and the minds of people to get them to vote. Because saying we want to have a vote, that's just the first step. You actually have to win the vote if you want to make a difference. And that's the only way we can do it. So you better elect someone who doesn't stop at one action, but is willing to fight all the way through and change a lot of things about how we do business here in the state of Iowa. You know, I talk all the time with people about jobs because we do have 110,000 Iowans out of work. I think that's about families and the decisions that they have to confront in this state. My wife just went through an experience where she had to decide if she was going to stick at a job that she didn't like. And we made the decision as the family that we would take a big chance and she could quit her job, take a chance and do something new. There are a lot of Iowans that don't have that same opportunity, that don't have that same chance. And it's tough for them. I know it says the Iowa Family Policy Council, and they warned us earlier tonight that we should talk about those kind of values. But ladies and gentlemen, I would tell you, I think jobs are a family issue. You got a lot of people around the state that are out of work. They're without health insurance. They're trying to find a way to get back and take care of their families. I know in the Rants family, we have one argument a month. It's usually around the 1st or the 31st. That's the way it always seems to happen in our family. It's always over finances. It's always about money. How do we stretch it? How do we provide for the kids? How do we do this? How do we do that? If we're going to be about families in this state and making stronger families in this state, we've got to make sure that families are healthy. And that means that people have jobs that they have health care, that they can focus on raising their kids because they're not too tired at night when they come home from working a second job, that they can spend time with their children and helping them with their homework, that they can spend time with them as a family. Too often we lose sight of those things when we talk about economics or when we talk about family values, as though they don't mesh together. But I would submit to you tonight that I do think they matter. I do think that they mesh together. And if we are going to talk about family values as conservatives, we need to talk about it in that nature. I'm going to leave you with this thought. Honesty is probably going to be the most valuable commodity that we, those of us that are Republicans, take into this coming election. Truth about who we are and what we stand for. We can't win an election by just being not the Democrats. We can't win an election by saying one thing and doing something else. We have to be honest about who we are, and we have to live what we say we're going to do. And that may get a little uncomfortable in this Republican primary. We've got some other candidates that aren't here tonight, but I expect will be here in the near future. And when we talk about that, and we talk about all our individual records, I know that that will be uncomfortable for people. I know I've said some things in the last couple weeks that have made some people uncomfortable. But if we're going to lead, if we're going to ask Iowans to trust us, then we're going to have to lead by example. And I intend on doing that. It's been a long road today, and it's going to be a longer road tomorrow in the days and the weeks and the months that come. So while every candidate here tonight has asked you for their support, and I would certainly like it, I'm going to ask you for one additional thing. I'm going to ask you for your prayers. Because while all the candidates, when they meet you, will shake your hand and they'll always have a good smile on their face. And they'll always tell you that things are going great. But it can be a lonely road out there on the campaign trail. And all four of us, or five of us, or six of us that are running, we need your prayers. We need your prayers. Because the campaign trail can wear you down. And I know as a candidate, I'm not supposed to say that, right? I'm supposed to be upbeat, tell you everything is great. But the fact is, all four of us know it. The campaign trail can wear you down. So we need your support. And we need your prayers. Even if it's for a candidate that you aren't necessarily planning on voting for. Because the fact is, we're all called to run. We may not be called to win, and you may not be called to vote for us. But I think we're all up here because we're called to run. I know I certainly am. 8 months ago, I wouldn't have planned on being here tonight. But I've seen things that have taken place in the state. And yes, as Brian said, one of those days was that marriage amendment debate. The following day, it was the governor backing up on his no tax pledge. Because I'd given up on politics. And when I saw those two things happen, and I saw the Tea Parties, and I saw the people rallying outside the Capitol, I felt the call to run. And so I'd ask you personally, pray for your candidates, because we need the support. Thanks for the time tonight.